Welcome to another episode of the Trivia Power Hour Gaming, the show where we look at gaming secrets, Easter eggs, facts, and trivia you want to know about. If you know of any more trivia, or have a game, series, or developer you want me to cover in the future, let me know in the comments. Like the video, and consider subscribing. Also, make sure to stick around for the end, for where I'll announce what we'll be looking at in the next episode. But, for now, let's get right into the trivia. Today, we'll be taking a look at one of the earliest pioneers of the FPS genre, Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein certainly wasn't the first first-person shooter to be made, and in fact the series didn't even adopt that perspective until its third entry. However, the first Wolfenstein game, Castle Wolfenstein in 1981, may get credit for being the first in two other genres. The first would be stealth, as the game focused on you escaping from the titular castle while avoiding patrolling guards in a generated maze, as opposed to shooting them due to very limited ammo. The only contention I could find to this claim would be 1979's Shoplifting Boy, which could be considered a stealth game based on its hide-and-seek style of gameplay. The second, and one I couldn't find much to dispute the claim in, is that it was also the first twin-stick shooter, though playing with two joysticks is by no means required. Wolfenstein 3D, the game that put the franchise and developer id Software on the map, has a very old-school style type of Easter egg, reminiscent of disgruntled programmers sneaking insults and the like into other games they were working on. On the Mac version of the game, by pressing B while on the id logo, a secret picture will be revealed. This picture shows Bill Berger Heinemann, the lead programmer, chopping off the head of an unspecified management type with a battle axe. This same image can be found in the 3DO version of Out of This World, where Heinemann again was the lead programmer. What may surprise some about Wolf 3D's development was just how fast the game actually came together. John Carmack and John Romero, who should need no introduction, and the rest of the team completed the entire game in just about 3 months. Carmack was able to program the entire game's engine in a month, and once they completed their custom level editor titled Title Editor, they were able to design an entire level in a single day. FromGen, the game's retail publisher, was concerned about the level of violent content in the game. In response, the team at id added more disturbing content like skeleton, corpses, and blood textures on the walls. id planned to have a contest for Wolfenstein 3D, challenging players to complete the insane secret maze in Episode 2, Floor 8. If completed, the player would find a message that read, "Call Apogee and say Aardwolf." According to Joe Siegler, the prize was intended to be a registered version of every Apogee game for life. Once it was discovered that players had created map editors for the game, trivializing the maze, id canceled the contest before it was made fully public. But the message remained in the game. Spiegler also wrote on the Apogee FAQ about the message saying, "To this day, Apogee gets letters and phone calls asking what Aardwolf is, frequently with the question, 'Has anyone seen this yet?'" Episode 3's secret level is one big reference/parody of Pac-Man. Ghosts will chase the player around, dealing damage if they make contact, pellets are replaced with gold chalices, and power pellets are extra lives. The re-release version on the Xbox Live Arcade had to replace the Pac-Man ghosts with Hitler ghosts to avoid any licensing issues though. The game most commonly known as Wolfenstein 2009, even indicated as such on the game's wiki, is actually the only game in the series simply titled Wolfenstein. Even though pistols are seen in cutscenes throughout the game, at no point are they ever actually used by the player or enemies in the game itself. Like a lot of other games, Wolfenstein would display gameplay tips during loading screens to give the player something to read while waiting. However, on rare occasions, the tip would sometimes be replaced with the phrase, "Get psyched," which is a reference to the same words being used in Wolfenstein 3D's loading screens. Brian Bloom, the voice of BJ in the newest series of Wolfenstein games, starting with The New Order, was also the voice of Jackie Estacado and the Darkness in The Darkness 2, which was made by many members of Machine Games. He also co-wrote and voiced Nick Reyes in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, as well as co-wrote the A-Team reboot film in which he played Pike. An easily overlooked choice in the voice cast was Nina Polin as Olenka Targonsky, Anya's grandmother. Nina was primarily a stage and dance performer until she got her first role in 1982's Sophie's Choice. It would be her only voice role she ever performed. During the game's pre-production, a series of documents were written describing all design and story elements that would be needed for designers, artists, animators, and programmers for each level of the game before they actually started working on it. The document ended up being 187,000 words long. As a comparison, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire had just over 190,000 words. Despite the series being so German-focused, the New Order was actually the first game in the entire Wolfenstein series to ever be released in Germany. Still, due to the laws put in place after World War II, making it illegal for media, excluding educational media, to make reference to the Nazi Party to be sold, the game had to go through major alterations to make this possible. The game's Nazis had to be changed to the regime, and all Nazi symbolism and references had to be changed as well. There's a small Easter egg that can be found in Chapter 7, where there are 2 vault doors labeled with the number 101. This is a reference to Fallout 3, where you begin the game inside of Vault 101. Another Easter egg that is known about, but has yet to actually be found, is the famous line shouted by dying enemies in Wolfenstein 3D.
Mein Leben!
Apparently this line exists in the New Order, but will only play if a very specific set of criteria are met, which Machine Games claims they will never disclose. Box art for Wolfenstein The Old Blood, a standalone to the New Order, is yet another reference to Wolfenstein 3D, as both feature a shirtless BJ kicking a Nazi soldier. At the very beginning of the game, when BJ wakes up in the car, there is a bazooka keychain from Quake 3 hanging from the key in the ignition. During the prologue, there is a hidden iron helmet from Skyrim hidden on a box in one of the desks. There is another Fallout reference in the first mission in the form of a vending machine featuring Nuka-Cola, and, not to be left out, Doom gets a little nod too with a stuffed Cacodemon toy in a doggy bed. As a non-game related Easter egg, a skull can be found and interacted with in Rudy's room in Chapter 3. If done, BJ will pick up the skull and recite, "Alas poor Yorick," as in Shakespeare's play. One of the ads for Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, features a fictional game show called German or Else. The host of the show is played by James Horan, who among other voice roles, also played Skullface in MGS5. I admit I may be stretching on this one, but it may not be a coincidence that the person who played Skullface, who was attempting to destroy the English language, also plays a host who ends the show by stating, "Only 173 days left of English. Make sure you're prepared." The subtitle of the game, The New Colossus, is actually a reference itself to the 1883 sonnet by Emma Lazarus of the same name. She wrote it to raise money for the construction of a pedestal to be erected for the Statue of Liberty. In 1903, the poem was cast onto a bronze plaque and mounted near the pedestal's base. Wolfenstein 2's Switch port was the first time in 16 years that a game from the franchise appeared on a Nintendo platform, the previous game being a GBA port of Wolfenstein 3D. Wolfenstein The Young Blood, another standalone story this time set after the New Colossus, will be the first game in the series where the German release will be able to have references to the Nazi Party after the law was changed in 2018 to lift the ban on Nazi symbols in video games. Many games produced by creative, dedicated developers address sensitive topics such as the Nazi era in Germany, and they do so in a responsible way that encourages reflection and critical thinking, the German Games Industry Association said last year when the new regulation was introduced. The interactive nature of games makes them uniquely qualified to spark contemplation and debate, and they reach younger generations like no other medium can. Thanks for watching this episode of the Trivia Power Hour Gaming. Next episode, we'll be taking a look at the first, and most surprising, roles of big-name voice actors, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. In the meantime, you could check out some of my other videos you may have missed, or even more gaming trivia I know you'll like.